Love that intro. Hey guys, welcome back. DreamReaver23 here with another Let's Play episode of Kerbal Space Program. We are starting out, with our last episode, our last mission that we set up DreamNet, which was our remote tech satellite system that allowed us to go through and expand out our reach for unmanned space probes and stuff like that into the vastness of space. On this episode, we're going to be going through and setting up the power station for our space station that we have upstairs in the outdoors of the Kerbal atmosphere. So you can see the ship here. This is part right here that I have it on right now on the screen. It kind of bothered me with anytime that you put an engine down and you have a decoupler or anything like that, it's going to go through and automatically put this in there, which is not bad for most cases, but with that one, it made it to where you have one engine that whenever that blows off, it can damage that engine, which it actually does, and you'll see that here in a bit. So going ahead and launching our ship, pretty much using the same kind of power on the ship going up with the overall of 5 solid rocket boosters, 4 on the outside, but we only have 3 of them going right now. I'm sorry. We have the center one, like the very center one, and 2 on the like catty corner to each other, just to keep it to where it's balanced and everything like that. I'm not sure if I actually adjusted the camera to where you can see the bottom flares of those engines, but I put to where I had the 4 going, and it was way too much thrust, and it was just destroying the ship right off the bat, which is a thing that I kind of figured out. And so by offsetting it to where you had the center solid rocket booster and the 2 on the outside, it made it to where it was a bit more efficient in the usage of it. You had more stages, so we were able to get out there a little bit further. So these ones are going to fall off here, and then we're going to launch the second stage. So we still have the center one on there, but it's not firing, so it's dead weight. So I could have probably been a little bit more efficient if I would have, done it a different way. But it also kind of helped make it to where we weren't just destroying our ship with this sheer amount of power that these engines have. So kind of rocking back and forth a little bit. We do have the RCS on. It's not as bad as it would have been before. With this new update, they've introduced the inline, basically gyroscopes. So it goes through and helps keep the rocket a little bit more on track. It does use a little bit more electricity, but it's a lot more efficient way of doing it, I believe, than what it was before. So right now we're just trying to catch up, and on this mission we have to dock with our space station that's going out at geosync orbit. And it does take a little bit longer. Like, I'm not the most efficient, but after this I have a lot better idea of how to go through and get a good docking sequence so high out in orbit. And I can tell you that we are going to overshoot this a bit, and that's just because of the amount of power that we have with these engines. At this far out in the atmosphere, you're gaining a lot of speed pretty quick. So that went and finished out right there, but we need to break off this bit. To make it to where it was staying solid, I needed to add a lot more struts. And I do apologize that it's so dark. I could have probably done it in the daytime or something like that, or whenever we had a better spot of light from Kerbal, the sun here in this universe. But since it's still kind of stuck there, we're just trying to break it off as easy as possible. It didn't do too well. Come on, break loose. So I'm also shutting down one of these engines because you can see one of my engines out off there in the back. It's flying off, and that was that one that we said would break. So we broke free of all of that firepower down there below, and we're off to space. And then I realized, oh yeah, I'm going way past where I need to be going. So this is an unmanned ship. This is actually using one of the remote pods that's a part of the remote tech set. So it's actually just a command module, a command pod that's already got all of the remote tech equipment inside there, so it can be controlled as long as it's within a range of either the launch station or one of our satellites. So that's a good deal. Right here we're adjusting our trajectory, putting a maneuver out so that we can kind of get it in line. And you can kind of see me working with it a little bit. It takes some finagling to get to understand which one is going to do which when you're messing with the the maneuver structures. And see, you can even see me right there just kind of messing around. Fast forward a little bit, got it to where it's coming along on the line. Now, if you look at that pink spot right there, that's saying how close that intersect is going to be. So it typically gives you 2 intersects whenever you're going to have your 2 intersects, and it'll go through and you can kind of look at them. So that one is 3.3 kilometers. I'm trying to get it, I think I get it to like a 2.8 or 3.0. And that's pretty close. That's saying at that intersect right there, it's going to be 3 kilometers away from your ship that you're in right now to what you're trying to dock with or orbit with. So go ahead and get it lined up on here. I hope y'all are liking the series. It's definitely fun and interesting to do and trying to come up with the ideas for what we're going to do on these missions. Since it is a sandbox, I mean, you don't have any set guidelines. It's not like, okay, you have to do this and this and this and this and this. You know, these different things to go through and get this mission done. And it makes it to where it's a lot more fun, I believe. I mean, for me, I just, you know, it's like, today we're going to go through and this is our mission plan. And you have your Kerbals that are just like, gung-ho about it and everything, and they're set to go. So speed up time a little bit, and we're coming back around. So we're going to be off a little bit on this, but it's not too bad to go through and get us out on here. And you'll see on the bottom of my screen, since I have the space dock set as my target, or the station hub, I think I have it called, set as my target, that I have this little pink ring on my compass down there at the bottom. That right there is, let's see, is that one the one where the prograde towards it? I believe it is. You have 2 pink rings and you'll have 2 yellow rings whenever you're using a target as your point. So yeah, so the pink one is facing your target. So basically it's the prograde facing your target, and then that pink one right there with the circle around it. There's another one that's got like a little straight bar kind of going across it, and that's facing away from your target. Now, the yellow ones, there's a yellow one that's like to gain speed or to close speed away from your target. Like basically it's how far you're traveling parallel to your target, if you will. So you'll see I'll start messing with that as well here in just a second. And kind of getting that balance to where if you have it, and if you can get the target speed to where there's 0 target speed, that means you're going along perfectly parallel to your target, and that gives you a lot easier point of trying to adjust to it, if you will. So you can kind of see me messing around on here, trying to figure out where I'm going to be at. And a lot of this was trial and error. So I can see that I'm going 72.7 meters per second in relative velocity to my target, but I don't know which way I'm going. I don't know if that's going towards it, away from it, sideways, up, down. You know, you're in a completely 360 degree space. Full movement, 6 degrees of axes. So right there, I'm going through and I'm trying to slow myself down. And so I'll go through and get locked on here, set my SAS, and start putting out some more speed. And so you see I can start slowing down in relative speed to my target. And I'm actually getting a little bit closer to it as well. But what was happening was I was going by it too fast. Fly by, fool, fly by. So we're bringing that speed down, trying to adjust up. You want to try to keep it to where you're still in the center of the reticle on there. So now we're going at a decent rate of speed. We're not losing the target. It's not flying way far ahead of us. And so we're pretty much almost at a dead stop. It's not moving very much. Trying to get my bearings on where I'm at. And right here I'm actually using RCS to do a lot of the adjustments, to go through and just try to find out where I'm at, because it makes it a little bit easier whenever you have an understanding of, okay, if I go forward, I'm moving this way. If I go backward, I'm moving this way, left, right, you know. But what I'm going to do right here is since I'm pretty much at a standstill with it, I'm going to face the target again. So face the space station, and then I'll start going forward. I think I start using thrust, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of get it locked in with the SAS, so I'm not moving around a whole bunch. And, yep. So you'll start to see the target itself will get closer. DreamNet Microsat. Yeah, I do need to adjust the name on that, I see. So, and we're going to speed up time a little bit right here so that we can get closer into it without having to take forever, because this is the long, tedious part. You obviously don't want to get going too fast, and the reason for that is because your RCS can only slow you down so fast. Your ship can only move so fast. So you can't be going at, 15, 20 kilometers an hour, or meters per second, I'm sorry, and expect to go through and like stop yourself on a dime when you're only, 300, 400 meters away. So you'll need to kind of get that down. And you see me adjusting out here, just trying to slow. I'm moving too far to the side. So this is how if for those of you that say, "Oh, I've never even got a ship out of orbit," let alone try to dock it to something. This is kind of the movements and the procedures that you need to go through on here. Is keep an idea of your pink is your target, so your relativity to the target, facing towards it or away, and the yellows are just like your prograde and retrograde, slowing down in relation to a parallel line with the target. In this case, the space station. So you can see we're getting in here pretty close. Not very far off. Now we're actually going to switch over, because instead of trying to get this thing to work around and go into that ship, we're actually going to switch over to command the space station, so that we can kind of turn it at a little bit of an angle, so that we can figure out how to get this front dock, which you can see right here in the bottom right of your screen. That's where the dock is, and we need to get that to connect to the space station. So it can be kind of a pain in the butt, but right now we're slowing down a little bit more. It's pretty easy to get thrown off on the game, like get your speed kind of thrown off. So now we're not moving, and I want to make sure that's happening before I switch over, because if I switch over and I'm still that thing's still moving, then it's going to be useless for me to try to get that connection done. So here we've switched over, and I want to take this one that's right there in front of the camera, that dock, not the engine, the dock that's right there in front of the camera. I want to kind of angle it towards the space ship, the power station that's coming up on here. So that's just a simple rotation. Oh, it looks like I actually did the one behind there. And I'll try to angle it just a little bit towards it, so that way it's just easier to see, and I don't have to do so many movements around with the other ship. To go through and switch between ships that are in close proximity to each other, it's just the square brackets. You have your left square bracket and your right square bracket, and you can kind of cycle through your different ships that you have available in that area. I didn't know that for the longest time, so I was like, how are they doing this? How are they doing this? Yeah, it's just the square brackets. It's nothing too difficult. All right, and we're going to switch back, since I have it in a pretty good spot right here. But whenever you're switching back and forth, it unsets any targets that you have as well. That should be noted as well. That's another thing that I had to figure out. I'm like, why can't I see this target? So back over here on this ship, and just trying to get some sort of, feel again. I should have done something with putting a remote antenna or whatever on the engines for these ships, so that I can kind of shove them off into space, or maybe get them to deorbit, if you will. So our relative target speed, as you can see, is 0.1. I mean, it's a relatively slow, and a lot of that is because of just the movement of the ship. It's going to gain speed and momentum. There still is inertia in space, but it's so minute that you don't really lose a whole lot. It would take a very long time to lose any speed. So any movement is going to any movement on your behalf in the ship is going to create more movement than you originally planned for. So that's something to always take into consideration as well. So with the system that we have on here, it has the micro laser system on here, and it has a docking cam, which can be really beneficial. It doesn't look like it actually does a whole lot, because it's just a black and white screen that you can't really tell. But it does really help. In my opinion, it does help to go through and kind of get some fine tuning of, since you're not able to see right there from the dock's perspective. It does really help out on there. And we're just inching in there. We're only 22 meters away from it, which isn't that far when you're comparing. The size of these ships is ridiculous. So, I mean, when you got a 40 or 50 meter ship, something that's only 22 meters away isn't that much. Think of parallel parking if you're old enough to drive. Think of parallel parking, and you have a car that's 12 feet long. You have a parking space that's 15 feet long. You got to get this thing in there. It's not a whole lot of room to work with. So we're getting closer, getting closer. And you don't want to go too fast. If you go too fast, you can break the docks. You can knock your space station out of orbit. You can do so many bad things. I've had a lot of misfires just in different things that I've done with docking stations together. It's not the funnest usually. But it does have a great feeling of accomplishment too when you're just like, yeah, I docked two different ships all together. It's good stuff. Now we switch back over to here so I can actually get a little bit more rotation in there. The angle that I was coming in on, it was basically too steep of an angle for me to try to dock them nicely. So just trying to figure out that angle a little bit more. And you'll see me stop this and throw my SAS back on. The SAS does really well on trying to get your... actually, you can see it on that screen right there. The relative position by the solid white crosshairs. All right, now we're just going to inch right back on in here. And at this point in time, we're using nothing but RCS. So you can see I am still coming in kind of high. Trying to angle that down quite a bit. Stressful situation, isn't it? Yeah, a little stressful. Just trying to get a good angle. Now we are going to actually back off the RCS here in just a second, just because I don't want it to come across too strong. So the magnets automatically kind of take hold on there, and it's just your job to kind of fine tune it. So we're going to start kind of giving a little bit of a roll, just to try to get it to where it connects a little bit more. Yeah, this is me at this point. Why aren't you connecting? Just freaking connect! So close. So close. And... connected. So there we go. We got the station connected up, and we're going to open up the satellites, all of the solar panels. There you go. And I have them both connected as one, and that's something to take into consideration whenever you dock these two ships. Whatever you have assigned to an Action Group 1 works together. Well, I had the solar or the satellite dishes put for Action Group 1 and also the solar panels. So it made it to where it was a little bit difficult, but all in all, it came to a good spot. We got the ship up there. We didn't interrupt the orbital velocity or anything like that, so we're still in geosynchronous orbit, which is good. We didn't throw it off track at all, which is also good. Open back up the solar panels and just kind of look out at our beautiful, beautiful Kerbal here from the space station. Live above Kerbal at 2,868.75 meters, kilometers above Kerbal. So, good mission, good mission. Back here on this screen, I'm just showing kind of where we're at on the orbits. So you can see that's what our orbit looks like for all of our different satellites that we have going around Kerbal at this point in time. One really cool thing that they've added with this is also, you see on the right-hand side, about a quarter way down the top of the screen, it has like the info and the orbital information and stuff like that. So you can actually go through and click on the different ships, and which I'll do here in just a second, and you'll actually be able to see who's piloting the ships, how long they've been in orbit, what their speed is, and everything like that. So it's pretty cool how they have it all set up. So there we go. You can see that Dreamnet microsat, and it goes through and gives information about it, its velocity, its altitude, what it's currently doing, its flight time, stuff like that. So a lot of cool information that it shows up on this screen right here. That's going to be it for this episode, though, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, the series. I want to try to go through and get the space station built up a little bit more, and then we're going to start launching missions to the moon, to Minmus, Duna, and different things along those lines. But I'm trying to get it set up to where we have a good backbone to the network that we've started off on these last two missions. So that's what we're doing right now. I hope you guys join me again. You know, this has always been a fun series. But until next time, guys, I'm Dreamweaver23 reminding you to game happy, and I will see you all later. Bye, guys.